In this video, I'm going to be listing 5 fish that I reckon are terrible beginner's fish, and there are going to be people who don't agree with me, and that's fine. This is my opinion and partially my experience, but also things I've just heard. And this first one, I know there are going to be people who don't agree with me. There's a lot of fake news about these fish, and that is the goldfish. Now, goldfish I do not think are beginner's fish because they get so big, and there's a lot of fake news about them. I saw a website like a few months ago and it said that you can keep a common goldfish, which can get about this big, in a 50-litre tank, which is just a little bit, can't even see, which is about maybe like that long, and that's basically just the size of the goldfish. And goldfish will grow to their size of their tank. And people think that's a good thing. That is a bad thing. Their organs are going to continue growing. It's called stunting their growth. When you stunt an animal's growth, it's bad for them. They don't live as long. So you don't want that to happen. You want them to live in a good long tank. Some goldfish I wouldn't even recommend anyone to have unless you have a gigantic tank or a tub or a pond. Goldfish do need huge spaces to swim around in. And another bad thing about it is that when they get too big, people release them into the wild, and they breed and become pests. They also poop heaps and heaps and heaps, so that's going to be harder to clean up. It's going to make more ammonia, and because it's hard keeping them with plants, that's going to be really hard too, because you can keep them with some plants, but most of them are just plants that grow in rocks or plants with really tough leaves, like Anubias and Java fern, which do take up nutrients, but not as much as a lot of the other nutrient-sucking plants. So yes, because of that, there's a lot more work in taking care of them. This next fish is actually the plecos. I'm not talking about little plecos like bristlenose, peppermints, super reds, all those. I'm talking about gigantic sailfins, common plecos. These fish get gigantic. Like, they get humongous. They can get around 50 centimeters, which is gigantic. That's like, I don't know. That's longer than a 30-centimeter ruler. They can get around 50 centimeters, some can get bigger, some stay smaller. Each individual fish will grow to a different size, but around about 50 is their size, which is gigantic. They look a lot like bristlenose plecos in the store when they're small, but they're not, and be very careful to read. If it says bristlenose, common, sailfin, you have to make sure that you're buying the right pleco or they will grow gigantic, because people buy them to clean their tank, they get huge, and then sometimes they even release them. Florida has a really bad problem with plecos there because it's a perfect habitat for them to thrive, and people release them because they get too big, and now they've just taken over. People are trying to do things about it, but it's pretty hard, because there is just thousands of them everywhere. And same with the goldfish, they poop heaps, so more work, but it's mainly, when it comes to fish, it's mainly them getting huge and releasing them. Those are like the two big things. This third one on the list is going to be aggressive cichlids. Now, most of the fish I put on this list are very hardy fish. That's why they're commonly told to be beginner's fish, and they can be, but if you're not looking after them right, they are horrible. There's a bit more effort that goes into them. So aggressive cichlids, obviously aggressive. They're going to scare off other fish, they're going to kill them. Not always kill, but they will stress them out. My convict cichlid, I kept him in a tank with heaps of other fish before. When he was younger, he was alright with some of them. He would still attack. He had this territory. He would attack things when they come near it. He would still attack sometimes. And when his tank leaked, he was alone for a while. Tried to put him in a tank with those same fish, and he was not the same. He tried killing them. He cannot go with other fish now. And I'm going to try maybe one more time when he gets another tank. Aggressive fish like convicts and Oscars, they do not have a good personality. If you can keep them with other fish that you know that they can be with, aggressive fish can be good beginner's fish. If you've watched other videos, you probably would have heard this one, as well as most of the other fish I've listed. And that is the bala shark, or bala shark, or silver sharks. Now, in stores, they're sold about this big, very small. And they can grow up to about 35 centimeters, which is gigantic. And the other thing is that in their name, they have the word shark in them. They're not a shark, they're just a fish. I don't know why they're called sharks, but because they're sold with the word shark in them, people think, whoa, there's a shark, I'm gonna have a pet shark, that's so cool. They bring it home, it gets gigantic, they have no idea what to do with it. But it's just that they get big. they get huge, and so do heaps of fish. There are so many fish that get gigantic that are sold tiny, and then you can't look after them when they get big. Now this last one, it is a good beginner's fish. It is a perfect beginner's fish. There's just one thing about them that is, like, even I struggle with, and that is guppies. They are perfect beginner's fish. They are super hardy. They nip fins sometimes, but they're not really aggressive. The only problem is that, well, there's sort of two problems, but the main one is their breeding. They breed out of control. If you have males and females together, they just breed and breed. They take over the tank. And then if a male mates with a female, she can carry the sperm from the male, and she can have another 5 batches with that. You know, my guppy Pistachio in this tank here has had about 4 batches already. Possibly even 5, I don't know. Pretty sure it's 4, but it could be 5 batches already. And there's no male in that tank. She mated, I moved her into there to eat some of these weird pests I found in there, and she's just had so many babies. So even if you want to separate them, the fish are going to keep having babies. But if you have them separated, which you don't have to do, you can keep them together, just makes it a lot harder to keep, you know. But you can have an all-male tank. They're absolutely beautiful. They are a very beautiful fish. They don't live too long. They probably live 2 to 3 years. But they are beautiful fish. They are very happy fish. They can go well with most other non-aggressive fish, as long as they have proper tank conditions. Females aren't as pretty, but they're still nice. That's just the problem. They breed out of control. Because they've been inbred for so many years, they've become genetically weaker. So they get diseases easier. Sometimes you'll bring them home and they already have a disease. And they don't live as long as they used to. Don't want this to happen. 1, it's just not very nice. 2, it makes the fish that are born weaker. They can be born with a kinked back, extra fins, not enough fins, little lumps on them. There are so many, like, they can be born blind too. Like, you don't want this to happen, or else they will have not nice babies that you'll have to put down, which means kill. So those are my 5 not great beginner's fish. I made a video on 3 good beginner's fish. I don't know how good it was, I haven't seen it in a while, but you can go back and watch that if you want. If you could do your proper research and you're a beginner and you reckon you have all the right requirements for these fish, go ahead and buy one. I just make sure you are very careful with the fish that you buy, because they can easily get out of control, they get huge, they kill other fish. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.